What's good, guys? Welcome back to my session once again. I know it's been a while. We did a YouTube video. I was running one or two things, but I'm back again. So welcome back. Stay with me as we are about to do a weekly analysis like we always do on gold, DXY, and probably BTC. So let's quickly dive into it, and I hope you take note in everything I do, and I believe by the end of the video you will know how I analyze the chart and do everything, and how I also prepare ahead of the forex market or ahead of the week. So let's quickly dive into it. So this chart you are seeing right now is the DXY, United States Dollar Index. Like I always tell you, when you are trading every pair that has the United States in it, you don't have to overlook this DXY because it's very important. You have to always look into it and know how it's gonna affect the other pairs as well that has the dollar in it. So we will first start by analyzing the DXY like we always do. So this is the monthly time frame on the DXY, and our price action shows that this market is in an uptrend on the monthly time frame. So like I always analyze, if you've been watching all my analysis or my weekly outlook, there's always one thing I always do on DXY. So let's quickly start. Let's identify price being in an uptrend. We can see that it's been respecting trend lines. It's been respecting our trend lines over here. We can see a first touch here, we can see a second touch here. We don't really focus on the trend line, we focus on the zones. So we can see another zone over here, right, which means price is moving upwards. That's the most important thing. Don't focus on the trend line. We are more interested in the direction of the market, right? So we know that price is in an uptrend. This is our previous high that got broken over here, and this is the second high that got broken over here as well. So these are current high, so we are having some kind of a retracement to continue pushing upwards. That's what we are expecting, right? So we got our higher high over here, our higher low, our higher high. So we are getting a higher low over here. So our expectation is for price to continue pushing upwards. That's our expectation, right, on the monthly time frame. So now you have a clear picture of the direction of the market on the monthly time frame. So let's go to on a weekly time frame. Let's see what's happening on weekly time frame as well. Weekly is also doing the same like monthly, right? Still on an uptrend, but we can see something is happening. When we got this new high over here, so this was the pullback. So we should have gotten something like a continuation to break this previous high, but we can clearly see that market couldn't break this previous high. We got some kind of low over here that couldn't break this high, and it ended up breaking this low, right? So that should tell you something. Even though the overall trend is bullish, but this small price action should give you a clue on what is about to happen, right? When you get something like this, you should know that price wants to change like trend, right? Price wants to change from uptrend to downtrend because the previous low has been broken, right? This previous low has been broken. Now price is forming a new low, right? Even though on a monthly time frame the overall trend is bullish, but you don't have to overlook these internal structures. It gives you a clue on what's about to happen, right? So far as we couldn't break this previous high, and we got a change of character over here to the downside, even though this trend line is still being respected, price can possibly still go up to break this higher high. But so far as this higher high has been broken and this low has been broken, we expect price to continue or change, shift from uptrend to downtrend, right? So we're expecting something like this. Since we got a break of structure or change of character from here, we expect something like this, a pullback into a supply or resistance zone, and a continuation to the downside. We're expecting something like this, right? We're expecting something like this because this low has been broken and this high or previous high couldn't get broken, right? So this is a first clue that price want to change character, but it doesn't still matter unless this overall low has been broken again, right? That's when we will have a clear mind that now we are shifting from uptrend to downtrend. So let's go to the daily time frame to see what's happening. So we expect price to push a bit higher over there before we see any kind of downward movement, right? So now we'll still be looking for bullish movement. I'll just try to give you an idea of what's about to happen, but the current price action is still bullish because we want price to still push all the way up here before we see any kind of sales, right? So you'll be more focused on the buys right now or bullish trend right now, because when you go to the daily time frame, you can see that price is forming a bullish structure, right? Price is still forming a bullish structure to go to that supply zone for price to push down, right? If it's being respected like how we want it to do, you understand? So what's happening, this is a 4-hour time frame over here. Let's go to the daily. On the daily, what are we seeing? You could see that price was consolidating. Price has been consolidating for some time. Price has been consolidating for some time over here, and finally we've had a break to the upside, right? A break to the upside. This can be a manipulation if you really understand the market. Even though we've had a break to the upside, this can still be a manipulation. The price wants to respect this zone, right? So we clearly saw what happened. Even though price broke this structure to the upside or this consolidation to the upside, it still respected this supply zone over here, right? So we are not fully convinced that price wants to move upwards unless this supply zone is being broken. But what did we see over here? When price got here, it rejected, right? But this trend is still bullish, so we will still be focused on buying the market, right? To that side we want to sell. So this was the low that caused this movement that broke the previous high over here. This is our previous high, and this is the low. Let's mark it over here. So this is the previous high that got broken, and now you can see price is reacting to that high that got broken, because initially this was a resistance zone. Now price broke the resistance zone. If you really understand support and resistance, you have to know that resistance will always in the nearby future tend to support, and support will also in the nearby future tend to resistance, right? So this was our resistance zone that got broken. Now price has retested on it and is reacting on it. So we are now, this zone is now a support zone, right? This resistance zone has now turned to a support zone. We can see first reaction over here. You can see first reaction, second reaction, and this is our third reaction. So the week last week or on Friday, price gave us this big rejection to the upside, and this is a doji candle. That should tell you that still buyers are in control over here, or price is reacting to this resistance that's now acting as a support, right? So what are we expecting? if price buys from here, it makes sense because that's a support level right now. So if price buys from here and give us something like this, it makes sense. But you know, trading is a game of probability. Anything can happen because we also have a demand zone over here that price hasn't mitigated. We have a demand zone over here that price hasn't mitigated, right? And anything can happen as usual, or like I told you, if price disrespect this zone, we can see something like this in today's demand zone and see a bullish, you know, market or a bullish structure. But if price doesn't disrespect this zone, you just go up straight from there, because we've seen couple of rejections over there, indicating that buyers are still in control on that zone, or that zone is valid, right? That's what I'll be expecting on DXY. We'll be still expecting buyers or bullish movement on DXY. And if we are expecting bullish movement on DXY, let me also give you another clue, right? This was the lowest point of the market that caused this movement, right? If we want to draw our Fibonacci from here to this level, we can see that the demand zone we expect price to come, that's where our golden zone is also at, right? This is our golden zone where we always take our entries, or that's our point of interest. So when we drill the Fibonacci from the lowest to the highest, where price started retracing, we can see that our golden zone falls in the demand zone, so which is also very valid. So when price breaks this level and comes here, we will take our buys. And like I told you, if the DXY is bullish, you have to know that any currency or any pair that has the US dollar in it is bearish, right? As a quote currency is bearish, right? So something like gold against the US dollar or gold against the USD will be bearish. If the DXY is bullish, gold will be bearish, Euro USD will be bearish, GBP USD will be bearish, BTC USD will be bearish, right? So since we are expecting bullish movement on this DXY, that should even tell you that we'll be expecting bearish movement on gold and other pairs such as Euro USD and GBP USD. So now we have a clue. We expect price to break this level. If price breaks this resistance, we are going all the way up, right? So this is what I'm expecting on DXY. Let's quickly go to BTC. Let's go to BTC. We don't want to do too much on BTC. What's BTC doing over here? Okay, I don't want to analyze BTC because we don't really trade it, right? Let's analyze what we trade. So let's analyze gold. So we know that the overall trend of gold is bearish, right? Gold is bearish. The overall trend of gold is bullish, but the current structure is bearish. The current structure of gold has been bearish for like 3 months or 6 months now. Gold has been bearish for some months now. We can see gold has been bearish, or gold is trading the bearish market, right? Like I told you, that should even tell you DXY is bullish, so automatically or logically gold will be bearish. That's one thing you should know. If the DXY is bullish, like I told you, Euro USD, GBP USD, BTC USD, gold will be bearish. That's what we are seeing over here, right? Gold has been bearish. There is the weekly time frame on gold, and I did so many analysis, you know, over the weekend, and it's been playing out accordingly. When you check my Instagram handle, I've been doing some analysis over there, and we've been, you know, it has been playing out just the way we wanted it to do, right? So let's analyze gold. So we can see a bearish movement on gold right now, and we saw that gold respected this weekly support level over here. There's a weekly support level over here that gold respected, right? There's a weekly support level over here that gold respected. That if you pay close attention to DXY, you have to know that it's correlating to gold, right? Because we can see that DXY is also respecting a supply zone or a resistance zone, right? And we can also see that gold is also respecting a supply zone, a support zone, right? They kind of move the opposite, right? So we saw that DXY was respecting a supply zone or a resistance zone. Now we can see that gold is also respecting a support zone, even though the overall trend is bearish, but we can see it's reacting to a support zone over here. But let's not pay close attention to that. We are more focused in selling gold since we don't want to trade against the market, right? You always don't have to trade against the market unless you see a change of character, right? So we are still interested in selling gold. So now we've marked our support level that gold respected over the past week, and we've gotten our trend line over here indicating that gold is in a bearish market. We haven't seen any kind of change of character, so we are still bearish on gold. Anytime, that's the reason why we analyze from we do top-down analysis. We start from the higher time frame to the lower time frame because we want to see the direction of the market. We want to get the direction, like the directional bias of the market, right? That's one thing you should know. That's the first thing you should know. You have to know the direction of the market first before you start your analysis, right? And the higher time frame will help you know that. You understand? So on the weekly time frame, gold is bearish, right? Even though it's reacting to a support or weekly support over here. Let's go to on the daily time frame and see what's happening. Let's go to the daily time frame. Last week we got some sales, crazy sales over here, and I'll analyze it. So we've been seeing that gold is creating series of lower lows and lower highs, right? This is our first lower high. We got a lower low over here, a lower high, we got a lower low, a lower high, and we got a lower low over here. So what are we expecting? We are expecting a lower high and still a lower low. Since we are expecting higher highs on DXY, we'll be expecting lower lows on gold, right? It's the opposite. Should keep that in mind. So we'll still be expecting sales on gold. So over the weekend or over the past week, we got our sell positions over here. So this was a previous demand zone. This was a previous demand zone that got broken, right? This was a previous demand zone that got broken. So initially we were expecting price to react or respect this demand zone and push price upwards, right? But what happened? It got broken to the downside, and we applied our Fibonacci to the level that broke the price to the downside. It was here. No, sorry. So let's forget about this side. This was the level that broke price to the upside, and this is the level that price got before it started retracing, right? I'm showing how I got my sell last week. So when we drew our Fibonacci, like I always told you, or like I always tell you, we are always interested in the golden zone. That's our point of interest. So when we drew that Fibonacci from the current high to the current low before the retracement, we can see that the price retraced into our golden level, Fibonacci level over here, and it also makes sense because it disrespected the demand zone or order block over here, causing a breaker block and a fair value gap, right? I don't want to take you deep. If you want the mentorship, you have to come because there's a fair value gap over here. There's a fair value gap over here. there's a fair value gap over here, right? It entails a lot. Our entries entails a lot. You have to come for the mentorship, but we are not here to teach anything. We are just here for analysis, right? So when we drew our Fibonacci to the lowest point that price started retracing, it was in our golden zone. It was in a fair value gap, and we saw a reaction or a rejection, and we took our sell right away because we are more interested in selling and we know the price is going to sell. We took our sell and targeted the previous low over here. We targeted the previous low over here, and price did exactly as we expected. So what's happening over here again? You can see the same thing is happening. We had a demand zone over here, price disrespected. So what is happening also again? You can see that price is also, let's go to the 4-hour time frame. That will give you a clear view. That will give you a clear view. So this is a 4-hour time frame. This was our next demand zone that we were expecting price to do what? To respect and give us a bullish movement. But what happened again? Price disrespected the demand zone and broke down, right? So we will have to draw our Fibonacci. Today is the low. This is the lowest point of the market. This is the lowest point of the market price got before started retracing, right? So price hasn't still gotten to our golden zone. So this is my expectation on next week, right? So next week we expect price to retrace into our golden zone over here, and we have to know that if price retrace to our golden zone over here, it's also on the trend line. This is the weekly trend line. This is the weekly trend line. We can see a lot of reactions over there. Price has reacted to this trend line couple of times over the weekend throughout like 3 months right now. First reaction, you can see second reaction. Like I told you, it doesn't have to specifically be on the line. We are more focused on zones. Third reaction, fourth reaction over here. We are having, so we want to expect our last reaction over here, which is also on our Fibonacci golden zone, right? So if you paid close attention to our DXY analysis, we expect DXY to push lower to the demand zone before we take our buy positions, right? Same thing like gold, the opposite. We expect gold to push higher, a bit higher to this zone, and also on the trend line to take our sell position. Simple as that, right? That's why I always analyze the DXY first to see the zones, see how DXY is moving. That's when I can know how to analyze the other market that has a USD, especially gold, since I trade gold, right? So this is my analysis on gold. I'm expecting gold to push a bit higher to respect the trend line, and also it's on our Fibonacci as well. And price have to clear this liquidity because you can see we have equal highs over here coming. Price also have to clear this equal highs, right? Price have to clear that equal high. Then if it clears the equal high, if price clears the equal high, we will take our position over here, put our stop loss over here, and we'll target this side. Simple as that. So this is a very valid entry. We have a lot of confluences. One, it's on the trend line. Two, you have to clear this equal highs or this liquidity up here. Three, is also on our golden zone, right? This is a valid entry. So far as gold hasn't broken this 43.75, we are still bearish, right? Unless this 43.75 level is being broken, unless this level is being broken, because this is the high that caused this break of structure to the downside, right? So unless that level is being broken, we are still bearish on gold. We are still bearish on gold, right? We are still bearish on gold. You can see lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. You can see lower low, and this is the lower high that caused this lower low, broke this previous low, right? This is the lower high that caused this lower low to break this previous lower low, right? So we expect some kind of lower low, another lower high to this zone, and we push upwards. But if that doesn't happen and we see something like this breaking this previous high, you can see a retest on the trend line, and we get upwards movement or bullish movement. So this is basically like price action mixed with other confluences, right? If you want to understand fully or get the knowledge of how we trade, we offer mentorship programs, and we have our Telegram community as well. We have our VIP communities where we share signals every day. Hit me up and let's talk business. So this is my outlook or weekly outlook on DXY and gold. That's the most important thing, because that's what we trade. We don't want to trade or analyze any other thing. You always have to focus on one pair if you want to be profitable. Do well to like and subscribe and share the video for more trading content. See you next week.